Welcome to the Wealth Blueprint Podcast, where we bring on guests that will teach you how to break the matrix. Most people are not taught on how to invest, understand how money operates, and learning the secret to living a limitless life. We will give you the knowledge, trials, and insight to create your own wealth blueprint. It's up to you to implement and act. Let's begin. Welcome to episode 1 of the Wealth Blueprint. I got my good man, Luke, on here from California. You in Temecula right now? You in San Diego? Where you at?
I'm in Temecula right now.
Temecula right now. I love it. Well, I met Luke. It must have been about a year ago, sometime recently, but was down there working with Brian Decker and Modern Lending and met up with Luke, and we just clicked instantly. And I know working down there with Brian is just a ton of energy. Cool, awesome dude to be around. But I know that when we kind of started going back and forth on Instagram, going back and forth about crypto, going back and forth about Bitcoin, I was like, dude, I like this dude. I gotta meet up with him. And sure enough, man, we linked up and had a good dinner right there on the bay in San Diego. And I was like, man, this is my homie. We're gonna make some things happen. So wanted to bring you on for the first episode and just give a rundown of creating wealth. You've done a great job. You're younger than me, with creating wealth and a new asset class and kind of getting some of your take on it. But why don't you give the people a quick intro on, where you came from, where you are now, and a little bit about you.
Yeah, man. So first off, thank you. Thanks for the invite. I feel special being on the Wealth Blueprint episode 1, man.
Had to. There was no one else. That was only you.
I feel like I'm Jay-Z, bro, dropping that blueprint. Yeah, man, my name's Luke Nobiensky. I'm from San Diego, Temecula area in California, Southern California. I work for Brian Decker as his business project manager. So I pretty much do a lot of different things for Brian. But the one thing about me is my specialty, I guess I would say, is I do a lot of crypto research.
Yeah.
So crypto and researching it, and I got back in crypto way back in the day,
because you were working as a construction worker, right?
Yeah. So I actually dropped out of college when I was I went to college for 1 year. I played some college baseball.
That's right.
Realized that I was just in college to play baseball. I wasn't there. I was never going. I never showed up to class really. I had all my homies sign me in. I just showed up for the tests. It was a thing that I just didn't think was valuable. It's like, okay, if this guy is a teacher who's teaching me business, why don't he own a business?
Right. Exactly. And we talked about that before. It's tough to take advice from someone that hasn't done it. So I understand completely.
Yeah, you just be reading a PowerPoint and you're like, oh, have you ever? I remember it was like Business 101. And I asked the teacher, I was like, you ever started a business or worked for a business? He's like, oh no, I got my PA or my MB, whatever.
MBA in business, yeah.
MBA, and then went straight to teaching. And I was just like, huh, that makes sense. So I dropped out of college and worked construction. I worked construction in high school. And I went back to this company that I was working for in high school. It was like your average construction job. And it was like, I don't know, $15 an hour when I was in high school. But the same exact company and the same type of work then got a contract with the city. So you would be doing the same work, but then you were having prevailing wage. Yeah. So it was like $15 an hour to then now $56 an hour and a paycheck on the end of the Friday. So I took advantage of that and worked construction. And then at night I was getting my EMT license. Okay. And I was trying to be a firefighter.
There we go. That's right. I remember you telling me that. Okay.
Yeah. So I was grinding on that, and then pretty much from construction, I did EMT, and then from EMT, I went to the fire academy. I stopped working a little bit, did the fire academy. I did that for a while, and then after that, I went back into construction, and then March of 2020, the good old 2020 era.
Good times.
I was on a snowboard trip up in Utah with a family friend, and he's like, yo, Luke, what are you doing right now? I was like, oh, I'm just as a carpenter. trying to get hired by I was in the process of getting hired by Long Beach Fire. He's like, "You want to get into the mortgage industry?" I was like, "Sure, why not? You know, the next best thing." I don't know. Construction's a great tool. I think it's a dying trade. It's something I definitely want to get into again, and I miss it. But you're definitely surrounded by a lot of guys that have made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit bogging on your like self-esteem a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was a great job. I mean, I can't say anything wrong about it, but I was like, you know what? I would love to learn something, the next best thing. But I was that guy that was like, yo, I am never gonna sit behind a computer screen. I'm never gonna be that. I'm never gonna be a
Psych.
desk junkie. Now here I am with like 4 monitors, and all I do is sit.
Just looking. Yep, I know how to. I've seen the setup.
So that's from that I then got to work at Modern Lending with Taylor Loop, who is arguably one of the best LOs in the nation, in my opinion.
No doubt. Absolutely.
And I learned from the best, man. I mean, he taught me everything about mortgages. He taught me how to build loans, just the whole inside and out. And it really clicked for me, where I worked for them for like a year or so, and I was like, you know what, as the time I was also working as a processor for a bank.
Okay.
So during the day I'd work as a loan builder, and then at night I was working as a processor processing
Jeez.
loans. So I
Right.
learned how to process and how to do the front end and the back end. So I learned the whole business, where
And the processor was with a separate company outside of Modern?
yeah, I was with First Savings Bank in Florida.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so I was processing loans for one of my guys, and he he was just throwing them on me, man. I was talking to these underwriters, and I'm like, going back and forth, and then they'd be like, "Have you ever worked as a processor?" Like I was just taking L after L, but after a while, I learned how to do it, and man, hats off to processors. I never would want to do that again.
Yeah, it's a tough job. It's a really, especially having no prior history in the business, throwing you in like that. That's trial by fire.
Yeah, exactly. I was slinging a hammer, then I was, uploading documents.
That's great. Yeah, no, and you went through Modern Lending fairly quickly, if I remember correctly. Like, you started to pick things up really well. I know you were working on like file build outs and stuff, and that's no easy task. Learning the guidelines for Fannie Mae and HUD and VA, like those documents, those rule books, were like thousands of pages, but you learned that file build out and income calculation pretty quick from what I heard from you, and then from the others down there.
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, Taylor, man, he was a stickler, but he was a
Knows his
stickler.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
him being a stickler was the reason why I was able to learn so quickly. Is even when I was right, he'd ask me, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Or this? And it was like, and it also just was like a God-given thing of it clicked. It clicked
Yeah.
for me, man. I've always been a pay attention to detail type of guy.
No doubt.
And I just loved it. It was like building a puzzle. You get these documents. I always like to get the ones that was like, guy owns like 20 LLCs. You got C corps that don't show up in the Schedule E, and you're just like,
love it. Y'all, that's the favorite. Absolutely. So while you were going through this whole time and go, working at Modern, doing the construction thing, working as a processor, I know that you got heavily into crypto. And my question is what prompted you to get into this new asset class? Because you got in fairly earlier than I did, and you did very well. So what was who turned you on to that, and why did you continue to invest substantial amounts?
Yeah, so I actually got into crypto, back in 2017, which all the crypto guys know was a good time. I think I bought my first Bitcoin for $3,500. My first Ethereum for 125.
Oh my goodness. And what's crazy is people see the prices now and they think, man, I missed it, But I hear that back in 2017 and, we're like, holy cow, I'd love to go back to those prices.
Yeah. Man, I would love to. I would put out as many loans as I could to freaking I would probably make a pitch deck to start getting investors into that if that happened. But
hell yeah.
yeah, I mean, I I was working construction. It's actually a funny story. I was working construction and I was working with my buddy that I grew up with. And he was not into investing, and I don't even think he owns crypto as we speak. But we were driving to a job site, and he's like, "You ever hear about that Bitcoin?" And because we were all making good money at the time, we were
Yeah.
young dudes, and we are getting paid. Probably, we're getting like a $1,500 check on the end of a Friday, every Friday. So it's like
Yeah.
when you got that coming in and you're getting the money too, it's like,
For
what do I
sure.
do with this? You can't even, for us, it was like we didn't even have enough time to spend it all. I know now in the mortgage industry, that's like not as much.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're young, right? Because what were you like? What 18, 19?
18, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, $1,500 a week. Yeah, that's living.
Yeah, no, I take it. So, I was like, Bitcoin. I was like, I don't know. I think I've kind of heard of like digital currency, seeing things here and there because I have I have a very smart mom who does research. She's out there watching the news with Venn diagrams. She's
Yeah.
well, I would call a genius. And my grandpa, actually, her dad was labeled a genius.
Oh wow.
He was the one that invented like the keyboard that goes like for like what's it called with your hands where it's like sideways, the
Oh,
natural
the instrument, like the typing,
the typing, the
like the
keyboard.
fast type that they use in like litigation and stuff.
No, like the keyboard that like is more natural, is a natural positioning for your hands.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and he did a lot of I mean, this guy was thinking of my grandpa was thinking about Uber, back in the 70s, and he
Damn.
was thinking about things like that. He was an engineer for USD or UCSD, and he was a really smart guy.
Okay.
So my mom, she got that brain, and
Yeah, yeah.
she
Pass it down to
definitely
you.
yeah, a little bit, a little
No
bit.
doubt.
And she basically, I remember her talking about it. So I was like, I don't know. So we went to the job and we came back. And I remember just pulling up and started researching, and I was like, and everything was just like, dude, this is legit. This is like investing in cars before cars became a thing.
Wow. So you heard about this from a guy that may or may not even hold it to this day.
Oh, I almost guarantee if he does, it's Ethereum and it's at a very
That
low.
is wild.
Yeah, and then as everyone should do, when you hear something, even if it's from a guy that not necessarily he's not the richest or thinks about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Google is one hell of a drug, man. Like,
Absolutely. We've been on some Google deep dives.
oh yeah, and it's like one of my favorite things to do is like, oh man, if I hear something that just like sparks me, I'm gonna research it, and probably 90% it will debunk you, but you'll run into that Bitcoin and that Ethereum. So I was
Yeah.
reading about it, and it just made sense. I was like, this totally makes sense. I mean, especially when you end up having money in the bank account, it's a funny concept, but things get a lot harder.
Yeah.
With Wells Fargo or Chase Bank or whatever it may be,
No
things get a
doubt.
lot harder to pull out money, move around money, and things like that because they want you to hold your money in there and make their 12% off.
Oh, absolutely. And you've shared some horror stories that we don't have time to get into about just like, money coming in, money coming out. People don't realize how little access they have. Like when you put money into a bank account, you don't own your money anymore. And a lot of people, they don't realize that. And that's one of the use cases for, self-storage with, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is actually being able to have 100% access, 100% ownership of that property. But again, in the legacy system, you don't see that, and I know that you've had troubles with that, and that's a whole other story. But that's one of the benefits of holding this new asset class is that 100% custody if you self storage.
Yeah, and like if we're in business too, like, and I mean we're doing business things together, and say Bryce is like, hey Luke, got this house, let's get this thing going. I mean, on a Saturday, I could be like, all right, bet, throw you my whatever 100 grand in a second.
Yeah,
Now I got to go into the bank. If I'm gonna do that with them, I gotta talk to them. And they're like, "What are you doing with this money?" And like all this stuff, and then it's gonna take a while. And
yep,
even if you had probably, I guarantee you, especially now, you had 25K in your bank account. and you walked into there and said, "Hey, I want that cash," they'd be like,
Yeah.
"I come back tomorrow."
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always thought it would be interesting. Like, if you got a group of people, we all parked our money at the same bank, and then we just walk in on some day and we all try to cash out and film it. What would happen? And that would, I mean, that could potentially start a pretty big issue within United States, where wow, I really don't have access to all of this, which is crazy. So that might be something to think about down the road, but. I feel like a lot of people, and especially our generation, and you're younger than me. You're what, 23 or so?
Yeah,
24?
23.
Gotcha. Okay. And so that's huge, because I mean, I'm 25, but a lot of people don't think the way that you and I think. They want the get rich quick, right? So they see cryptocurrency, maybe not as much right now because we're, by definition in a recession, and we'll get into that in a second. So the money's not, flowing like it was a couple months ago. But why, instead of looking at, getting rich quick, doing the day trade thing, why do people need to care about this new asset? Like, why do people need to research Bitcoin? Why do people need to look into Ethereum? Why does it matter for any type of long-term wealth generation?
Yeah, so I would say number one is efficiency. I mean that's something that people need to realize, and you got to realize also is that something like assets are not going to be adopted, especially assets, but even anything is not going to be adopted right away. I
That's
mean,
a good
how
point.
long? I mean, like how many times when something crazy comes out? I mean, you're talking about Tesla self-driving cars. When they
Yeah.
first came out, yeah, you had people buying them here and there, but there's a lot of issues.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
lot of issues that came. I mean, you had people the self-driving kill a biker. I remember Elon talking about that. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. And that's just an overall, when it comes to an asset and people's money, everyone's baby, that's going to even be harder to people to want to switch over to a new asset class.
For
But this is
sure.
what I would say when you're thinking of different different ways of business as an entrepreneur, if you're talking as just an overall entrepreneur and you're looking into this, I mean, this is going to revolutionize the efficiency of any transaction, whether I'm buying 10 boxes for my Shopify business or I am, in escrow on a house. And
Yeah.
I think that and there, I would recommend if you're looking into crypto, there's obviously Cryptocharged, but another good guy is Coin Bureau. The
Yeah.
Coin Bureau guy really explains things to a point where people could understand and get you excited.
No
And
doubt.
looking into crypto is you want to also realize that decentralization of an asset is huge.
Yeah.
We're talking about not only are we, in a recession in a recession, but we're also in an entire government restructure in a sense.
Oh man, give me goosebumps over here. I haven't heard that phrase, but that's perfect. Expand on that.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, recession's something, but like when people are like, "Oh, are we in a recession?" They're like, "Dude, I'm more worried about the two C's switching over." So what I mean by that is capitalism to communism. We are in an entire government restructure where it is who knows what's going to happen down the road. The stuff that people are, if you say one thing on Instagram or one thing on this and you have so-called freedom of speech, they'll knock you down in seconds.
Oh,
Why Donald
absolutely.
Trump can't even own any social media.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous. This guy's a tycoon in industry, in business. He's a
Yeah.
tycoon when it comes to money, and he can't even put his mind to like. And I love, Donald Trump. He's an idiot when it comes to sometimes not knowing when to kind of not say things, right?
Yeah.
I always say I wish Obama's speeching and Donald Trump's like ideologies and
Yeah. Business
legislative
mindset. Yeah.
ideas had a
Combined.
baby. But that's a big thing. Now, if you have Bitcoin in you have assets that are decentralized, you have, like we said, full control over those.
Yeah.
Now, no matter where the government is, which is to me very scary where they're headed, it nothing could happen. But right now, you could easily have. I mean, I was hearing instances, and I don't know how true this is, but IRS tapping into people's bank accounts that own back pay on taxes.
Wow. That's insane. Well, I mean, they're just high. They just went through that. I'm sure you saw bringing on 80,000, plus new IRS agents, for, looking at people with cryptocurrency, looking at people, like you said, back taxes and stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is kind of getting swept under the rug and people aren't noticing it and the potential repercussions of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, and it also has to do with the fact of not only decentralization of assets, but I'm just for decentralization in the full run. If you are a capitalist, decentralization that's like your bread and butter. But not only decentralization a decentralized asset, but a decentralized internet, a decentralized social media. Those and these could all down the road be transferred over. See, that's the thing when people think about cryptocurrencies, it's not just, oh, cryptocurrency is an asset, or what is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is technology. And this technology could not only, it could be an asset. But it could also, help with making an internet. And then it could also, you could put a lot of things on the blockchain. And people need and that's when you think, why should people think about this? Is like, okay, guys, this is a technology that is fully decentralized. And that was Satoshi's whole thing. It's sticking it to the big man.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you hit it on the head. I see and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I see, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as two separate entities. You have Bitcoin, which is completely by itself, this new asset that introduces a new property trait to what money is. And then you have cryptocurrency, which is technology. And I think we're on the same page here. This asset, this technology is not going to exist with all of these other entities that already, are there in the modern day times. It's going to take over all of how we do everything, how we use the internet, how we talk to people, how we pay people, how we listen to music, how we game. Like, that is going to completely, eat the current legacy system in every aspect, and it's going to be this entirely new thing. And so I think it's it's important for people to start to learn about this right now, because we are in a change. We are like, this is almost like the beginning of like almost a new renaissance, and I think it's going to be a very pivotal time in history. And the sooner that you can get in, the better it's going to be, not only from a monetary standpoint, where I think there's a lot of wealth. There's going to be more millionaires made in the next decade off of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies than any other asset class, but it's going to set people up for, years, generations, if they're able to adopt this technology, at a very young age.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. If you think about, or I look at every crypto project. There's a million out there, right?
Yeah.
But you think about, Bitcoin. I would agree with you with that. You got Bitcoin, which is like, I guess the gold, I guess, right?
Yep.
And you got these other Ethereum, could be like the US dollar. And then you have, different things like the metaverse is like the video game sector.
Yeah.
And you have there's like a YouTube type of thing that's out there. There's
music.
Rendering. Like music, like a Spotify that's out there. So yeah, like it's an entire new technological advancement that is going to happen. And do we know exactly when it's going to happen, like full adoption? No, but I mean, as me and look at El Salvador. Look at these countries that are turning over and making it their legal tenure. And then also just think about how much technology has on our lives. I mean, it's going to come a point where gas cars are out, right? That's what I'm hearing. So gas cars are going away. All these things are going away, and everything's moving over to technology. Now, one thing about technology, if it's not decentralized, people have way more at hand over it. And no matter what, we're going to be advancing towards technology. Now, do you want to be advancing towards the technology that's governed by a government entity, or do you want to be advancing towards technology that's decentralized and you have 100% ownership and control over? That's what I want to be towards, and that's why you should be looking into crypto.
Freaking preach it, brother. Preaching it. No, I mean that's 100% it. People don't realize how little access that they have. And we, like you said, we have El Salvador that a couple months ago had a meeting with 36 countries, 36 plus separate companies. Central banks came over and met about like, what are you guys doing? So you've mentioned this a couple of times. The adoption, what most people think is going to happen very quickly, traditionally takes a couple decades. I mean, the first time that doctors actually found out about germs and they proved like, hey, this is the cause for all of these, shorter lifetimes, infections with surgeries and stuff. They proved it, and it took 30 years before adoption. I mean, that's huge. That's life or death situation, and it took 30 years. This is a combination of new assets, new technology. It's going to take a while, to adopt. And people think it's just going to happen overnight. But the ones that get in early are obviously going to benefit from it. We're starting to wrap up here, but I want to get your take real quick on this. So 2 back-to-back quarters, negative GDP growth, quarter 1, quarter 2. By definition, we are in a recession, and every time from 2020 all the way back throughout history, that has been a recession. But now the White House is coming out and saying, hey, it's not a recession. We're redefining what a recession is. I think absolutely gaslighting Americans. What's your take? Are we in a recession? Are we not? Where are we going?
I believe we're in a recession. And I also believe that we're in a restructuring, and the fact that, like you said right there, we need to redefine what the word recession means. Like,
Yeah.
What?
What?
What do you mean redefine what the word recession means? Like, come on.
Know.
I always tell people this. You want to know how the world economy or the U.S. economy is doing, or even world economy is doing? Go drive down a main road. Drive down a main road with gas stations. You'll see.
That's a good point.
Right there. I mean, that is one of the greatest indicators of where the economy's at is gas prices. So you driving down right now and you're seeing those sevens, bro. Come on. Yeah. Like my mom's Volkswagen Jetta takes almost $100 to fill up.
Well, dude, you guys down there in California too. I mean, we're here in Idaho where we're back in the 4s. I'm seeing pictures on Twitter of 7s and 8s still in California. It's ridiculous. So on top of that, I mean, we have gas prices going up. We have asset prices the highest they've ever been. We have inflation at 40-year highs. The average W-2 worker is making 3% less year over year. Where you store your money in a bank account doesn't even give you 1%. Like, how do people get ahead in this environment?
Buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin. That's a great, dude. That's a great answer. I mean, it really is as simple as that, but people make it more difficult than it needs to be sometimes, I think.
I think if you're gonna buy anything right now, even when people are like, "Oh, real estate's one of the greatest assets," and me and you both, as real estate professionals, it is one of the greatest assets, and it is a great thing to buy. But right now, is it the best time to buy a real estate asset? I mean, it depends. I'm not saying it's terrible, but I can tell you right now, it's the best time to be buying up some crypto.
I love that.
I think it's and it's not as much as a deficit. So real estate, it's still, interest rates are still at a normal rate, not 2020, but they're still at a normal, interest rate.
Historically, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, historical. And people might, and you see that thing, 3% at, $300,000 house is now the same at 6% is the same price as whatever, $600,000 house at 2.5.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of troubling. Well, Bitcoin's at what, $18,000, $19,000? Yeah. At one point we were at
69,000.
69,000.
Yeah, 60% drawdown almost year over year. Yeah. But it's one interesting to see, and then I want to plug you in real quick. Yeah, we've continued to see the stock market lose value, tons and tons and tons and tons. What we've seen with Bitcoin is that it's dropped down to the $19,000-$20,000 range, and it's sustained and it hasn't moved, right? And so I think that's huge where you haven't seen that. We're continuously drawdowns everywhere else. It's kind of held a floor and set a new higher low. And I think, again, we're going to be talking somewhere down the road at, 100,000, where it's dropped down to 100,000. Everybody's panicking, but it's going to sustain and hold at that $100,000 range. So like you said, great time to buy real estate right now. Even better time, I think, to buy crypto. But this is the Wealth Blueprint Show. So I want to talk about the experiences, but we also want to give people the blueprint to be able to act and to be able to create wealth financially. And you and Brian Decker have an amazing platform called Cryptocharged, where people can actually download this app and they can go in and you guys can help facilitate and show them what to buy, when to buy it. There's no such thing as really timing the market, but you guys do a phenomenal job with the data that you guys provide with helping people get an intro and a leg up when investing into crypto. So tell me really quick, where can we find you with Cryptocharged, and what does Cryptocharged do? Like when people download this, what do they get?
Yeah, so Cryptocharge, you could find it, just search in your Google box, cryptocharge.com. You could start a 14-day free trial, and then it's a monthly subscription. And pretty much what it is, I mean, it's everything Bitcoin. You got Matt, who is a everything crypto, sorry. And you got Matt Brian, who is a genius in the crypto space. You got Dan Habib, who's also a genius in mortgage industry and
Absolutely, big time.
Crypto. And then you got Brian Decker, and then you got me behind the scenes. But you get everything you need to know. You get daily updates. You get a coin library. That's what I made, and
That's
it's
huge.
like breaks down every project. You know, the big what the project does, and etc. And so I would either also follow us on Instagram at Cryptocharge. Make sure it's the correct one.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of scammers out there because you guys pump good content, man. So it's just at Cryptocharge, right? No underscores, no nothing?
Yeah, at Cryptocharge, and they'll be following only 6 people, and it's got like 5,000 followers or so. So, and then also you could start. I'd recommend start the free trial. You know, go on Google Chrome, put in Cryptocharge, and you could start it right there. But yeah, man, if you want to learn crypto, that's the best place right there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where I would recommend all my audience to go to is I wouldn't want to place their hands in anybody else besides you, Brian, Matt, and everybody else involved with that. So I think you guys do a phenomenal job, and I highly encourage people to check out that app and hopefully download it, check out the free trial. And I mean, man, you make a couple good trades, a couple good investments, that's going to pay for that whole, that's going to pay for that subscription the rest of your life. So big time, very, very low barrier to entry on that one. Well, Luke, dude, episode 1 is in the books, man. I appreciate it. It was great to give, a little bit better insight on where you came from, how you got started. I think you give we got a lot of good clips that we're going to be able to pull from this, talking about what's going on with governments right now, the transition, which I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, and just all the crazy enough that's going on. But again, how to hedge against all the crazy shit that's happening. So I appreciate you jumping on, my man. Any last words for the audience?
Oh, man. The blueprint, baby.
We're working on that beat. All right, brother. Well, I'm gonna come down and come see you. You got to teach me how to surf, and we'll definitely get you back on the podcast. And much love and good rest of the week, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right, brother. Much love. We'll talk soon.